Hey guys, this is Brandon Bowie, and once again, welcome to E3 weekend. And look, I'm sorry, Shulk, but I'm not really feeling it this year. It's not because I'm not going to be there this year either. I just see E3 as an event that is declining in relevance for all parties involved. So, over the last 4 years, I've had the privilege of being able to go to the show, and in those 4 years, I've seen some significant shifts for this event, with the most recent shift being the invitation of the general public to an event that had been, for the most part, closed off to the general public. There have been a small multitude of other changes to the show's structure, but lately, the show seems to have fractured quite a bit, with a lot of the bigger publishers branching off into having their own private events off site or not attending the show at all in favor of streaming a digital conference. A show like E3 is a logistical work of art. There are so many facets that make up this event, and it's almost insane that so much can be crammed into a single week, and yet a week never feels like it is enough. For anybody working the show, whether it's a publisher, a journalist, or an industry analyst, you name it, those schedules are going to be chock full of conferences, appointments, and meetings. And with a lot of companies now moving off of the floor of the Los Angeles Convention Center to their own venues entirely, the Los Angeles Convention Center is going to be a lot emptier, and this show's loss of Sony is going to make that hole even bigger. As a bit of context, several months back, a damning report surfaced that Sony would not be attending the E3 2019 conference at all this year, with their justification coming down to the fact that they essentially didn't have much to show. It makes a great deal of sense too, because over the last several conferences, Sony had focused on hit titles like God of War and Spider Man, which have now since been released. And in those months leading up until now, Sony created a digital conference format that they christened as State of Play, which everyone is immediately comparing to Nintendo's Nintendo Direct format. And speaking of Nintendo, they were incredibly far ahead of the curve when they created the Nintendo Direct. It's a move that everybody seems to be moving towards, in an era where it's a lot easier to stream an event from the confines of your own home. And on the company side, it's going to save the company a lot of money compared to an onstage event. These press conferences are exhibits, multi-million dollar marketing grabs to grab attention, and while they're fun for the people consuming, why not cater instead to the digital world instead? At this point in time, how can we be excited for these on-stage events when a majority of the reveals are telegraphed well in advance from leaks or just marketing blunders? Last night, a huge report came out about a major Bandai Namco leak, which saw 3 titles get named, one of which included a new From Software title with a collaboration from Game of Thrones author George R.R. Martin. When everybody knows what is coming, it's very difficult to stay excited during a press conference beyond the usual smattering of polite applause, and with these leaks rolling out, is it still worth having an on-stage presence? This is a question that leads into what kind of relevance E3 has in 2019. The show floor is going to be quieter with less companies on the main floor, and in my experience, the best demos came from the companies who rented out private suites or meeting rooms off-site or space on the floor that's isolated from the theme park that is the main show floor. That is really what the E3 experience is. It's a freaking huge theme park. Except the biggest problem is this theme park is plagued by hours-long wait times for a demo that is, on average, 10 to 15 minutes long. Before the show opened up to the general public, lines were already huge, and I'm never going to forget the experience that was the Nintendo Breath of the Wild booth in E3 2016. That line closed out for the entire day, 4 minutes after the show floor opened. And now, with the general public being given more access to the show, the lines are only going to get even longer, and you have crowds of people who need some lessons on body odor control, or you get people who just essentially crowd up the floor and make it nigh impossible to get from point A to point B in a timely manner. And in a show where timing is everything, it doesn't really work out anymore. From a financial standpoint, E3 is a very tough pill to swallow. You know, a lot of people, they fly from all over the world to travel into the show. I've had the privilege to be a short hour-long drive away from the show every time I went, but even so, the cost of hotels, eating, and logistics turned a week-long event into hundreds of dollars out of the pocket. And while I'm able to get a lot of things done and visit friends that I haven't seen for basically a year, I think that it's an even worse trade-off for fans, because fans would wait, sometimes an entire day, to play a demo that's only a few minutes long, and sometimes that's even worse because they would have to watch somebody else play a demo, and that's not really fun in my eyes. Not to mention, in Southern California, food is expensive, and this cost multiplies on the show floor. For example, a water bottle is close to $6. A simple lunch or a slice of pizza deal with a regular drink that you can get elsewhere for maybe a couple of dollars is closer to $20 during the show. And there are many ways to go about not getting screwed on convention center food and getting a much better offer with local cuisine around LA, but at the end of the day, is it really worth spending close to $1,000 to wait in lines? With E3 moving to become a fan-centric experience, the show is trying way too hard to be something that it's not, and in terms of bang for the buck, I think an event like PAX is much more friendly in that manner, and you'll still get the same number of gameplay experiences. I hate to be the Debbie Downer on E3 weekend, but I just think that E3 is losing its luster. I think the show is being carried on name recognition alone from the Electronic Software Association, who's the company that essentially runs E3, and a few years down the line, especially when Los Angeles has to renew their contracts and continue holding the event, it could very well be possible that the show fades out in favor of digital events or fan-centric events like PAX. What do you think of E3 as a show? Are you consistently excited by the reveals, and what do you want to see from the show in future? Let us know your comments below, and as usual, if you liked this video, be sure to give Gamer Professionals your like and subscribe. I hope you guys have a wonderful E3 week, and I'll see you guys next time.